The New York Giants are in their bye week, and when they come back, they've got 4 games left, and there'll be a very, very powerful microscope on those players who look like they want to be here next season, and maybe some of those guys who may not play as if they do. Let's talk about it next on the Big Blue Breakdown live. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Big Blue Breakdown Live. I'm Paul Dottino. So glad you could join us once again tonight for another edition of our regularly scheduled program, Wednesday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You guys know, same bat time, same bat channel, and we are here to talk New York Giants football. Yes, it is a bye week. Yes, I know the office is closed. No Big Blue Kickoff Live on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday this week. I get that, but we're still here on our regularly scheduled time on Wednesday night. And I know you folks would love to talk about what's going on with this team, the state of the Giants, as ugly as it is right now. I know you guys still do want to talk about it. The Giants are coming off really what I consider to be their worst game of the season. They get dropped by the Patriots 33-15 the other day. And to be frank, while I did not expect that, this year has been, if nothing else, a theater of the most impossible, improbable things that could possibly happen. Now, we know the Giants were not really in the game in Philadelphia. We know they weren't really in the game at home against San Francisco. Those were the 2 games where they did not have a lead or were not within 1 score in the fourth quarter. Every other game this year, they have qualified under one of those 2 categories. This particular game, no. They were beaten and beaten badly from the outset in all 3 phases of the game for all 4 quarters. In my opinion, it was the ugliest game that the Giants have played all season long, and that was very, very disappointing. But just let's make something very clear. Number one, yes, it was bound to happen sooner or later because, after all, even the best teams in the league are going to have a dog at some point during the season. So that's number one. Yes, the Giants have tried to persevere as best as possible, but it has been an extremely difficult season to deal with mentally, physically, and emotionally. And think about it. They don't have their bye to the last possible week. Thank you, National Football League. Boy, could this have not been the worst of years to have the bye at the very last week that you could. It has absolutely sucked this team dry in so many ways. Now, some of it, of course, is their own fault. They're the ones who wound up falling into the quicksand and have had trouble trying to climb out. But now on top of that, they were in the quicksand, and then a hurricane came. While they were practically drowning in the quicksand, they got hit with a hurricane. That being the New England Patriots. Now, why do I say that? Because there was a confluence of events that happened in this game. Not only was the team out of gas, and they showed it, in my opinion, but in addition to that, the New England Patriots, who had won 9 in a row and were 10-2 coming in, I said it myself. Many experts, many football people I know also said the same thing. The Patriots were a paper lion. They had not beaten a tough schedule. They had a very easy schedule. They were very lucky. They simply played fundamentally sound football and allowed their opponents to beat themselves. The Patriots, by no one's stretch of the imagination, despite having the best overall record in the NFL coming into the weekend, nobody is taking them seriously as a Super Bowl contender. Well, if you read the quotes after the game from the Patriots and head coach Mike Vrabel, they used that to their psychological advantage. They were souped up, chomping at the bit, foaming at the mouth. They were triply motivated to go on to Monday Night Football and prove a point to the rest of the NFL that no, you can't call us a paper lion or a paper tiger. We have won 9 in a row. We are 10-2. We are for real, and we are going to take out that frustration and our disgust for being underrated on our opponent tonight. And the New York Giants paid that price, because from the very get-go, the New England Patriots as a team played angry. They played angry. They were fierce, and they were breathing fire in all 3 facets of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. We saw it on the opening kickoff. We saw it then, of course, on the 94-yard punt return for a touchdown. It was 17-0 at the end of the first quarter. The confluence of events, the Patriots insisting that they get angry and prove to the league that they deserve to be in the conversation as a Super Bowl contender. You put that motivation together with the fact that the Giants may have just flat out been gassed. Waiting, going through this horrific season and having to wait for that bye week to come. And this is what you get. So maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't have been quite as surprised. At least I shouldn't have been as surprised. Maybe some of you felt as I did. Maybe you expected a competitive game, a game that the Giants certainly should have had a chance to win on paper. Maybe you expected that, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you've already jumped off the ship. Maybe you've already got your flamethrowers out, and you've just decided to be miserable and just rip and shred and scream and cry and kick and throw a tantrum and said, forget it, this team can't win another game. And if you were that way, well, then I hope that you were happy with the result that you saw, because then you were right. And people usually like to get proven right. I get it. That's the way I saw the game unfold. But hey, you know what? That game is done. Just like this 2-11 record that they have. They've lost 7 straight. They've lost, 13 in a row now on the road, going back to last season. It is what it is. And there's no point in even crying over spilled milk or going over that stuff anymore. What can we go over? We will go over your chats. We will be glad to take your video calls or your audio calls if you'd like to get in on the program. I anticipate being here for an hour tonight. If you guys insist that you want to go longer, we'll try to take it longer. But at the moment, I'm thinking of just doing an hour. It is the bye week, and I don't know how much more else we really need to hammer out. There's no game to talk about this Sunday. As much as I would love to talk about the upcoming game, there's no game. So that kind of limits the amount of conversation we might be able to have. Now, a couple of items here to discuss about the Joe Schoen press conference that was held yesterday. The general manager understands that he has been tasked with the mission of finding the coach for the 2026 Giants. He, as the owners, insisted that, yes, interim head coach Mike Kafka is going to get a fair shake. He is being considered. We'll have to see what the rest of these 4 games looks like before anybody should, in all fairness, make a concrete decision about Mike. At the same time, the 1-loss record has certainly not gone in the right direction, and that's going to weigh on the scale against him. We know that. That's obvious. No one is denying that. They still have 4 games to play. What if they win all 4 games? What if they actually not only win them, but win them impressively and actually thrash their opponents? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what if it does? A lot of people out there might feel a little differently. But then again, you might not. And that's okay too, because everybody's entitled to an opinion. None of our opinions matter, because Only the general manager and team ownership is going to have a say in who the next head coach is going to be. Now, Joe Schoen did make it very clear that he believes there will be a number of qualified candidates who will show interest in the job. And as he said many, many times, although the record's not good enough and he has certainly made mistakes, he is absolutely correct when you look at the individual talent on this roster. It is better than it was 4 years ago. They have the young rookie quarterback on the young and inexpensive contract. They've got the franchise left tackle. They've got a good running back stable once Cam Scatterbo returns next season. They've got the superstar game-breaking wide receiver once Malik Neighbors comes back. We know that the offensive line, and oh yes, folks, if you really want to just sit down for a second and take a deep breath, the offensive line, yeah, it is no worse than middle of the pack right now. Look at virtually any offensive category that you want to. Okay, I know red zone has been terrible, but that's a convoluted equation that involves a lot of things. The Giants' offensive line, by any metric, is a middle of the pack, average at worst. When's the last time outside of 2022 when they were functional and went to the playoffs that you could say the Giants' offensive line is at worst average? By some metrics, they're actually better than average, maybe in the top fringe of the top third, the way that they have performed this year. Now, yes, they have still had some inconsistencies and some ups and downs during the season, but the body of work through 13 games says that this has been the highest ranked Giants offensive line in a very, very long time. Credit to Joe Schoen for signing Runyon, for drafting John Michael Schmitz, for re-signing Andrew Thomas, for signing Jermaine Illuminor, for signing Greg Van Roten, GVR. Those were all his acquisitions. Yep, just saying. Anyway, no, I know Thomas was drafted by the previous regime, but he, of course, was re-signed to an extension by Joe Schoen. So that does need to be taken into account when people talk about the misses, like Evan Neal, which at this point, there's no other way to describe it. That turned out to be a miss. But certainly, the offensive line that deserves credit this season has to be acknowledged. And the guy who put those guys in place has to be acknowledged for that. Okay, so let me just go there and talk about that. The line and the key players on offense. On defense, we know that they have spent the second most amount of money on their defensive unit of any team in the NFL this year, and it has performed horrifically. They have been flat out really, really bad. A defense that should have been by everybody's expectation. So let me make this very clear. I don't know that I have talked to a radio, TV, assistant coach, scout, fellow football fanatic back in August that said to me the Giants won't be a top 10 defense. Everybody across the board, unanimous. This is a top 10 defense. Some people, like myself, figured it could even be as high as a top 5. But it was unanimous. So nobody out there, whatever you do, don't fib and tell me in the chat or give me a call. Don't fib and tell me you thought all along this defense was going to be in the bottom 3 or 4 of the NFL. Don't fib, because that's not true. You all know this was supposed to be a top 10 defense. So you can't play hindsight after the season has collapsed and say, oh, well, you know, this is a terrible defense and it's all your fault. You can't say that, because every single one of you out there, and the guys sitting here too, believed wholeheartedly that this was going to be a stellar defense. So that means every last one of us either misevaluated, which I don't think is the case, or there were other factors involved, whether it was players not playing up to their potential, not continuing their trend upward, injuries, coaching, all of these other things that were in the stew conspired to watch this defense go down the drain. But the one thing that I really don't think was the case was a misevaluation, because it was unanimous. We all thought this was going to be a stellar defense. So don't flip the pancake now and say that you knew it and that you warned everybody this is going to be a bad defense and I told you so. Don't do it, because I won't accept it. I know it's a fib. It's just that simple. All right. Now, what do we know about that defense? Well, we know they still have Bobby Okereke, who's been a very productive middle linebacker over the course of his career. No, he's not having the year he had when he first got to the Giants as a free agent from the Colts. That is true. That was virtually an all-pro caliber season. But he hasn't had a terrible season either. He's actually been okay. And we also know that Brian Burns is having a career year. We know that Cordell Flott is having a career year. As for the rest of the starters on defense, well, Micah McFadden got hurt. He might have been on his way to a career year because he's been trending upward ever since the Giants drafted him and had come off his best season last year. We thought he was going to have an even better season this year, but that didn't happen when he injured his foot. Other than that, you look at the rest of this defense, the starters and the rotational players, and none of them are having high caliber seasons. None of them. And that is why the Giants are in the pickle that they're in. Now, again, we can go over all the different factors I just listed for you a few minutes ago about why a player does not live up to the back of his football card. We could debate those things forever. That's not what I'm presenting to you at this particular moment. The point of what I'm saying right now is that all of us believe this defense was going to be star-studded and downright terrific. So don't reverse the calendar and say, I got to point fingers. I got to say that this roster stinks. I got to say that this defense is not any good because they made terrible moves or didn't make moves that were warranted. We know the moves were logical, were rational, and were very realistic to produce a dynamite defense. That is not why this defense is down near the bottom of the league. It are those other things. It did not have to do with talent acquisition. It had to do with what was done or what happened to that talent after it was acquired. That's how I see it. And I believe, based on the quotes from ownership, when Brian Daboll lost his head coaching job and the general manager, Joe Shane, retained his job, I believe, again, the phrase we talked about it a few weeks ago on the program, a roster of quality young talent and a core that is here. That's where I stand on that issue. Now, before I get to some of your chats over on the side of the screen, I do want to let you know with 4 games to play, these are the following starters, okay? Starters who are going to be unrestricted free agents at the end of the season. You might want to jot these names down because this list is compiled of the guys who are free to walk out of the building if they want to. And the Giants are going to have to make decisions on all of them. Do you want them back? And how much do you want to pay to bring them back? On offense, Wan'Dale Robinson, who is having a career year. Daniel Bellinger has played more and more and more in the two tight end offense since Malik Neighbors got injured and has shown versatility as a fullback and as an H-back in addition to being an inline tight end. Jermaine Illuminor, the starting right tackle, who I certainly believe has been underrated during his career. I think he's a solid player. And, of course, there's the old elder statesman of the group, GVR, Greg Van Roten, who has been the starting right guard for the last 2 seasons, been durable, been a professional, and quite honestly, last year he was the most consistent offensive lineman on the team. Well, this season, to be frank with you, he's been okay too. He very well might have some more football left in him. Now, do I think you'd like to upgrade and get a young stud, a powerful, mashing, bulldozer type guard in that spot? If you could, I think what you'd like to do, like we talked about earlier this summer, you'd like GVR to come back as a versatile backup and see if you can get a stud who is worthy of starting, and then GVR could be your safety valve. I think we talked about that in July and August, and as it turned out, GVR happened to be the best guy and won the job, and he certainly held up more than his end of the bargain. Those are the 4 starters on offense who are unrestricted free agents at the end of the season. On defense, Nacho on the defensive line, Micah McFadden at linebacker. We know he's coming off that severe foot injury. Cordell Flott having a career year at corner. He's an unrestricted free agent. And then if you want to include Dane Belton in this list, because he plays an awful lot as the third safety, has had to sub into the starting lineup for one of the other 2 guys getting injured. If you want to kind of say he's been a pseudo starter for much of the season, you could put Dane Belton. Dane Belton as the third safety. You could kind of put him on this list if you want to. I don't know. I mean, I certainly think if the Giants re-sign Belton, he's not a starting safety next year. I do think if they re-sign him, he's still the number 3 safety on the team. I think that's what his best position is in the NFL. I think he's best suited as a third safety and as a special teams dynamo. I think his niche is right there. I don't think I would re-sign him as a starting safety. And then, of course, on special teams, Youngseo Koo, the kicker, is an unrestricted free agent, and so is Casey Kreider, the long snapper. I would expect if they want Koo back, they could get him back. And Casey Kreider, he's about as reliable as they come. He wants to come back. They want him back. He'll just keep signing 1-year deals, and I don't think there's much to worry about there in terms of him coming back, unless he just decides that he's done with pro football, because he's healthy, he's young, he certainly hasn't really been beaten up in terms of injuries, doesn't have a bad injury history. I would suspect that Casey probably wants to continue, and I see no reason why he would not be re-signed. So those are the starters, plus Belton on the fringe, if you consider him as such, who are unrestricted free agents going into next season. Guys the Giants really, really have to look at hard, because they're going to have to consider what kind of numbers are they going to be asked for and what kind of numbers are they going to be willing to give. Okay, here we go. Let's start going through the chats, folks. If you want to call me up on the phone or on a video call, you see right down below There is the link there. You could do it that way. Or if you want to use your cell phone, you can go up here to the QR code, the blotch up in the corner of the screen, and you can also use that as well. Let's go to the chats. And Michael Drunowski says, Giants get a new coach in 2026 and will be better. Look, Michael, there's no question that the discombobulation of what's going on with the Giants staff, having to go through 2 head coaches, having to go through 2 defensive coordinators. This is never a clean scenario. It's never going to be a great circumstance to get the most production out of your players. Of course, it's the lack of production that leads to this circumstance, and then you have to try to, again, climb out of that quicksand. It becomes a very messy and sticky proposition to try to do. So I appreciate the sentiment. Whoever is coaching this team in 2026, I will say this. Not only does this head coach have to be a very, very, very well thought out decision, but the defensive and offensive coordinators are going to be just as important. Don't for 1 second think that those 2 jobs are less important than the head coach, because they're not. Okay? They're not. Both of those coordinator positions are going to be very critical, especially when you consider Jackson Dart is going to be going into his 2nd NFL season as the Giants starting quarterback. And then, of course, I shouldn't leave out special teams. You guys know I always respect special teams. So really, there are 3 coordinators that will have to be in place with whoever the Giants head coach is in 2026. And those hirings are very, very, very important. Please do not overlook those. Michael also wants to know, who do you want as a new coach? Mike Tomlin fired from Pittsburgh, John Gruden. I don't think, personally, I don't think that you can make a fair, rational, and logical decision until you know who the candidates are. We don't know who's going to be available, who is going to be let go at the end of this season. There are going to be coaches in the NFL, and you mentioned Mike Tomlin. Now, here's what I will say. It seems to me, if you've read the Pittsburgh media or listened to the Pittsburgh media in each of the last 3 years, or is it even 4 now, they've been talking about the possibility that Mike Tomlin would not come back. He might be fed up with the job. They might decide they're fed up with him. Too many one-and-dones in the playoffs. Oh, boo-hoo. The guy's never had a losing season as a head coach in the National Football League. I feel so bad for Pittsburgh fans, right? My goodness. Well, in any event, we don't know if his time in Pittsburgh is truly going to be up or not. So any team that is in the market for a head coach at the end of this season has to figure out, is Tomlin going to be available? Are there other coaches in this league that also may be available, who at the moment are still collecting a paycheck from their current NFL team? Or are you only going to look at the pool of guys who are available today? Because all of these guys who you may want to talk about are going to stay where they are and not be set free. See, again, it's almost like you go to the store and let's say you really feel like you got to have a snack tonight, right? You got to have a snack tonight. And you go to the store, and if there's only pretzels on the shelf, well, guess what? You got to pick pretzels. Or if there's only corn chips and pretzels, you got to pick corn chips and pretzels. But what if you went to the store an hour later, and all of a sudden, there's popcorn, there's potato chips, right? All of a sudden, there's a bigger selection. And now you can pick any one of those things. That's my point, Michael. It is foolish and useless today to talk about names when you don't even know what the actual realistic and factual available pool of candidates will be until the end of the season. That's it. Big Blue 4751 says, good evening. And I say good evening back to you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. This team looked as if they were on the bye already on Monday night. That's why, Big Blue, I'm suggesting that they were gassed. I really am. The bye week could not come at a more late time in the season, and they have gone through misery. You know, everybody out there, fans think they've gone through misery. You have no idea the misery that these guys go through, the physical and emotional and mental pain that they go through when they're getting beaten down and have to deal with a 2-10, now 2-11 record. It's brutal. Just for surviving, they should have had their bye week a month ago. But the NFL doesn't know when they give out the bye week exactly how it's going to play out. This team desperately needed their bye week earlier than they're getting it. Aiden Fink says, good evening, Paul. It was good to see you Monday night before a very rough outing. Yes, I did see Aiden. He was in the stands up in Foxborough, and he came by the broadcast booth before he went to his seat. I don't know where you finally landed. I hope you had good seats. I mean, it was a chilly night, but at least there was no snow or rain, because I do believe you were in the lower level, right? When you came by the booth, you were in the lower level. I assumed that you were out in the open, so good for you that it didn't snow or rain. Aiden says, look like the 2024 Giants in the second half of the season. Again, I saw it, and the only thing I could think of is that this team had just run out of steam. They just didn't have enough to put forth against a Patriots team that was clearly angry and out to prove a point. And they did. Jared Brown, 3289. I just wonder if Dart and all the young guys are discouraged by the season looking into the future. Jared, I don't think there's any question that you have to fight that human emotion that does take hits. You get battered, you get bruised, you lose. It's painful. These guys are competitors. Who likes to lose? Nobody. Nobody. Especially if you're in the public spotlight and everything you do is getting scrutinized. You know, I've known players who didn't want to leave the front door of their home for days after a loss because they were so disgusted and so miserable. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. I know people outside the building don't realize that. But a lot of these guys, they really, really suffer after these losses, more so than you could imagine. So, yes, do you have to be careful? Do you have to watch your young players, your core young players carefully and make sure that they continue to learn, that they continue to understand what they've got to do to try to improve themselves in spite of the record going in the wrong direction? It takes professionalism, okay? It takes dedication and devotion to the job. And it takes a fire in your belly to try to continue to move forward no matter what the circumstances are. No question, Jared. You raise a very legit point. Rich Big Blue says, good evening, Paul. This team looked as if we already talked about this. He says, a horror, what was Kafka thinking on 4th and 1? Well, Mike already talked about that. He, on the 4th and 1 you're talking about, I believe it was late in the second quarter, he decided, he waffled on it. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do and decided to play the field position game. The fact that he brought us into his decision-making process the next day and said, you know what? I was fighting it. I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go. Ultimately, I went with field position. I understand. I respect him for at least telling us what his thought process was. I don't know that I agree with it because at the time, I wanted him to go for the 4th and 1. They decided not to. I get it. I certainly get it because nothing was going right for the Giants to that point in the ball game. And maybe if you tip the field, maybe, just maybe something can go right on the other side of the field and maybe something good can happen. It was just like everything was going wrong. I get it. Sometimes you just have to agree to disagree, throw your hands up and say, hey, I know where you were coming from. I would have gone the other way, but I understand. Jared Brown, 3289 again, says, do you feel like the media are getting to Dart and the young guys? The post-game interview by Dart, he didn't hold back what he thought and is maybe getting on their nerves. Well, Jared, it's not easy to go up to the podium as a competitor after you've just been beaten. Now, it's tough enough when you give away games to go up there and face the tough questions. Sure it is. It's tough. There's no doubt. But then when you actually go up there as a competitor after you've just been beaten, flat out beaten, dominated for 4 quarters, that's a whole different kind of misery. So, I'll never be critical of a player who shows some of his honest emotion, whether it's calm or agitated or frustrated, disgusted, whatever emotion he wants to show or doesn't want to show up on the podium. I'll never get on his case for that because I can appreciate the spot that he's in. And it's almost as if no matter what he does, there's going to be somebody either firing a question at him or watching or listening to him who's going to be critical anyway and who doesn't like it. You're not going to be able to please everybody, especially after a loss, no matter how you react. Now, this is part of the problem when you're in New York. When you are here, it's quite different than most of the other cities in the National Football League. You have a very, very large and bright and hot spotlight. There are many players who cannot function at their best, no matter what the circumstances are, if they wind up playing for a New York professional sports team. I mean, look at Devin Williams, right? Devin Williams was supposed to be one of the top 2 closers in Major League Baseball. Comes to the Yankees, and psychologically he turns into a mess. And he wasn't even a fraction of what he was in Milwaukee. For some reason, the Mets, who also happen to be in New York City, have decided that they want to give him a boatload of money to go pitch for them. Weren't they watching any of the Yankees games last year? Did they not see any of that tape? I have no idea what cable channel they were watching, but he's still going to pitch in New York next year. Did they not learn from watching Kenny Rogers, who failed with the Yankees and then failed even worse with the Mets? Some players are unable to get through the psychological and mental barriers of playing in New York, facing the pressure and the ups and downs of this city. That's just a fact. Some guys can't hack it. And more so than any other team, we've seen the Yankees over the course of the last 50 years have a number of high-priced free agents that they brought in who could not hack it. How about pitcher Sonny Gray, who came here from Oakland and was a really good pitcher for the Yankees in road starts. But at Yankee Stadium, He was horrible. And now that he's joined the Red Sox, now he's telling people openly with quotes, I didn't like playing in New York. I didn't like being there. No kidding. We could tell by your performance. You didn't have the mental toughness to deal with it. So, Jared, is there a psychology, a mentality, a toughness that you have to have when you play in this city, whether or not you win or lose? Yes, there is. Yes, there is. But it's difficult for me because I understand the inner workings, having covered these players for more than 4 decades. I understand the circumstances and the issues that they've got to be able to swim through. So whatever honest reaction you get on the podium after a game, but especially after a loss, don't be too judgmental about it. Aiden Fink says, are you concerned with Abdul Carter character-wise, or do you just think it's a rookie thing and he'll nip these behaviors in the butt? I will answer it for you this way, Aiden. I have seen many young players come into this league as rookies and not button down their collars, not dot their I's, not cross their T's. And I'll give you one great example. Amani Toomer, when he came out of the University of Michigan as a Giants second-round draft choice, was not a very studious player. Not at all. His work habits, Amani would tell you, his work habits were downright terrible. Awful. And he was well on his way to being a bust and probably being out of the league. But torn ACL, major knee surgery, came back. Jim Fossil became the Giants coach. And somehow he got through. He read the riot act to Toomer. And Amani would tell you this if you had a chance to talk to him. He would tell you that Fossil read him the riot act and told him, you'll be out of this league if you don't shape up. You have tremendous talent. You were a second-round draft choice. We believe that you could be a terrific player in this league, but you're not acting like you want to be. And if you don't get yourself on the stick, you'll be out of the league. No one's going to want you, and you'll be done. You'll have to find something else to do. Somehow it got through. And Amani Toomer became the most prolific wide receiver in the history of the New York Football Giants. And, by the way, a Super Bowl champion. Yeah. So, do I think that Abdul Carter is going through some rookie bumps, landmines, hurdles, potholes in the road? Yes, I do. I do. And do I think that stuff can be fixed, corrected, overcome so that he can have the stellar career that he's supposed to have? Yes, I do. Is it also possible that he doesn't get himself squared? Sure, anything's possible. Sure, anything is possible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you 100% concrete. No. But what I am going to tell you is that there are many examples of guys who didn't get themselves squared away as rookies and wound up never reaching their potential, and other guys who had, as I said, Amani Toomer-like rookie seasons and started off looking like they were going to go in the wrong direction and then somehow found a way to turn it around and not only fulfill all of their promise, but exceed perhaps many people's expectations. And that's the best answer I can give you, Aiden, because it's the honest answer. It could go either way. But if you do listen to most people who know Abdul Carter from his time at Penn State, they will tell you it probably will go the right way, because this has been rather surprising that there have been a couple of issues so far that have forced interim head coach Mike Kafka to sit him down. Aiden laughs and says, Commanders preview now. Giants won't be playing Washington until December the 14th. It's quite a ways away. Dan Gelber says, as we begin next year planning, front and center, is Dex going to be healthy or is he gone forever from elite status? Big contract for average defensive tackle. Dan, that to me, and you know this, right? Remember, a player can be at less than 100%. He can have some physical limitations without being, quote, injured. Because to be on the injury report in the National Football League, you have to have missed some snap time at practice or been restored to full snap time at practice. So it is entirely true that guys get beaten up over the course of the season, that guys get beaten up previously, go into the offseason with rehab, and never fully regain what they were supposed to regain during the year. We talk about guys who come back from ACLs, and we always say, standard answer, first year back from an ACL, they're not going to be 100%. Maybe they'll be 80%. Well, they don't get listed on the injury report every week. The guy came back from last year's ACL. He practices every week. He plays every game. He doesn't get put on the injury report. But because there was rehab from the injury and he is not fully himself again, he's probably playing at only, let's just say, 80%. But that doesn't get him on the injury report. So you have to acknowledge that possibility that a player who has had a significant injury that occurred last season, that was rehabbed throughout the entire offseason, you must acknowledge the possibility that he did not get to 100% this season, but whatever percentage he got to, it was enough that he could still handle most practices, maybe get the occasional Veterans Day off for load management, but was not, quote, injured enough to show up on the injury report. Dan, it is my hope, and I use the word HOPE. It is my hope, because I do not know 100% what Dexter Lawrence's elbow is like and what he has been feeling. We discussed previously on this program, an NFL player is never going to tell anybody, nor should he, because he becomes a target for the opposition. If he says, I rehabbed my injury, but it's still not really 100%. I know I'm gonna have to work on it again during the offseason, and I hope I'm back to 100% next year. But I'm just going to have to play at 80 or 90% this season. No player, no pro player is going to tell you that. No coach is going to tell you that. They don't want to subject that player to being targeted. So I don't know if that was the case with Dexter Lawrence. I don't know. I suspect it certainly could have been, because he did not play at an all-pro level this season. That's fair to say. That is absolutely fair to say. He needs to be back at an all-pro level next season. How does he get there? Does he have to reapply himself? Does he just enhance that rehab on his elbow? I don't know what the specific answer is. Only he knows what he has to do. to get back to being an all-pro player again. But at this point, you're the Giants. You don't have a choice. You've signed him to a big contract. He gets the benefit of the doubt. And you have to do everything you can to try to restore his all-pro caliber play. You have to believe that he's got it in him yet. He's not very old. He's not 12 years in the league. And so that's where you stand. You do everything you can as a medical staff and as a coaching staff. Whatever happens the next 4 games, that's not as relevant as what happens during the offseason to get Dexter Lawrence back to all NFL caliber beginning week 1, 2026. So I appreciate, Dan, the comment, the question. Absolutely understand it. But for the next month, that's not so much an issue. That's an off-season issue going into week 1 next year. And they've got to do whatever it is that they can do as an organization to bring out the best in Dexter Lawrence once again. Team Zavala. Paul, we are a mess. I'm not liking the attitude from these young pups. Will not last in the league with those antics. I just think that this year has been so discombobulated. I still am in wait-and-see mode on that stuff. I don't know that I'm ready to make any concrete judgments positively or negatively in that regard about young players' attitudes. I do know this. The locker room in general likes each other very much, and they have shown me effort. Again, I think they ran out of gas. By the time they got to Foxborough the other night, I think they were just low on fumes. I don't think that that's because they've quit, and I don't think that's because they don't like each other or don't like the coach. I don't think that has any bearing in this situation. Big Blue, Rich Big Blue says, what I came away with from the GM yesterday was I understand the question, was it 5 or 6 times? Isaac Moore, 1248, I feel it's a long road and yet another regime change and who knows what else. Jackson Black says, hey, Paul, somewhat suffering. I agree. Can't take too much more of this. I agree with that too. Rich Big Blue comes in with a big joke. The joke of the night. As for kickers, bring back Eric Schubert. Shuby! New Jersey guy, by the way. Isaac Moore. Why do the Giants make so many mistakes and blunders? Isaac, interesting comment because you also say we need to make the switch to backups and practice squad players to see what we have. I'd have no objection to getting some of those guys some snaps down the stretch. Absolutely, I would not. Why not? You know, I'm with you on that. But in terms of why do they make so many mistakes and blunders? A lot of times this stuff just starts to build momentum. You know, the Giants, believe it or not, where was my number going into this week? Believe it or not, Giants had 55 missed tackles going into this week's game against the Patriots. I believe that was amongst the top 5 or 6 lowest in the NFL. And we've seen the missed tackles, we've seen the inconsistencies, and we've shaken our heads at it. But yet, that's an epidemic that's throughout the NFL. It's a problem, much more even in other cities than it is here. The drop passes, now that is a pet peeve of mine, big time. And it's not because I played quarterback as a youngster. No, I get nauseous from drop passes. I have the Giants down for 29 drop passes so far this season. They had over 40 last year. I don't understand that. They've got to do a much better job with those. And going into this past week's game, they had been flagged 110 times, the 3rd most penalty flags thrown against the team in the NFL this season coming into this Patriots game. I don't understand the sloppiness in the play. I don't, Isaac. I just think that right now, this team needs an offseason to reset, to catch its breath, to clear out its head, and to hopefully restore some P's and Q's to their play once they get back on the field in 2026. Okay, let's see here. Aiden, I was sitting behind the Giants bench near the 45 on Monday night. It was truly freezing as the night went on. Hope you were warm. I did okay, Aiden. Thanks. Let's see here. Team Zavala. Watching a Giants game is like watching a movie scene 1,000 times. You know how it's going to end. Well, to be honest with you, team, if I can call you that for short, this game was not like most of the other losses the Giants have played this year, because they were winning and beating other teams for 3.5 quarters and then giving away 5 games to charity. No. This game was a complete Patriots beatdown for 4 quarters. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. The Giants were not very competitive at all in any of the phases. Harlem X says, what's going on, everybody? Hey, Paul, I know I'm late. Not a problem, my friend, because to be honest, I've only got a few more minutes here anyway. And let's see. Harlem X also says, I will say again, we have an effort issue. Coaching really can't do anything about that. If you don't care, a coach can't change that. He says, I want a video call so bad, but I just know what I have to say is going to annoy everybody and make people's heads explode. Oh, boy. All right, let's see here. MB Goblin. Hey, Paul, not sure I have anything else to add or say. I hope you're well, and I, for one, always appreciate your insight and opinion. Well, thank you, Goblin. I appreciate that as well. And I get it. I do get it, in all honesty. We're pretty much talked out here, too. I even wondered, should we come back and do a program this week during the bye? But I felt you guys have been loyal to the show. You come every week. You click on a link. I felt like, you know what? Yeah, I know the season's in the toilet, right? They're 2-11. They've lost 9 straight. Oh, no, 7 straight, not 9, 7. And I get it. But I figured, no, let's do the program. You fans out there, you need something to listen to, something to talk about. If it's therapy, great. If it's not, I apologize. I try to keep it real with you folks. You know that. Giants Carb Crush. Paul, Giants are 2-11, and roster management is still head scratching. Enough of Eric Gray holding a roster spot and get Dante Miller in these meaningless games. Carb Crush, I'm a huge Dante Miller fan. You know that. I badly would love to see him get activated and get some touches of the football over the course of the last month. I really would. The only thing that I will say in defense of Eric Gray, he was a draft pick. He was thought of very highly when he came out of school. Got nasty, career-threatening knee injury. Worked his way back with a passion. It's a miracle that he's still able to pass a physical and get on a National Football League field. It really is. You got to reward a guy like that. You got to give him a chance. And they did. They got him in a game, not this past week, but the week earlier. They got him in a game. I know he muffed a kick. I understand all of that. But for him to work his way back to the bone, to get back on an NFL football field again, I'm sorry, but as a human being, I know, I get it, right? Results-oriented business, no. Sometimes you have to be a human being. You have to be a good person who understands that hard work deserves to be rewarded. Eric Gray did deserve a chance to get a uniform back on, to go onto that football field and to touch a football again in a National Football League game. I'm happy for him. I am. Now, he didn't play this past week, and that's fine. Coach's decision. I hope Dante Miller gets a chance to play at some point in the next month. And if Eric Gray gets a chance also to play during that time, well, then good for him. Because everybody at this point should have the opportunity to prove whatever it is that they can prove. Thank you for the call, for the comment. Harlem X, made it to the program.
Yeah.
There you are, my friend. How's everything?
Getting old.
I hear you.
Yeah, man. How y'all doing? How everybody, you and everybody doing? You and your family and everybody in the chat. Hello.
You know, Harlem X, we're here every week. You know, win or lose, we're here every week. And let me make something clear. I understand all of this because, look, you can't be around for 40 plus years like I've been and not feel the agony too. Okay? Please understand that. If you actually believe that I don't feel it and that I'm oblivious to it or that I actually enjoy this, you're wrong. No one should believe that. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
No one should.
There's not much to enjoy right now. And I'm not, okay, let me just say this. I am not the optimistic, quote unquote, positive type. I'm not negative either. I'm a realist. Okay? I said it one time on your show before. I'm not glass half full. I'm not glass half empty. Who the hell put this glass on my table and why is it still here? You know, so yeah.
I like that.
Well, yeah, I deal with what's right in front of me, you know.
Right.
So, but this is going to sound optimistic, but it's really not. But there's history behind this. If you really think about it, the Giants, this is my own thing. This is like something I thought up. But there's 3 levels to what's going on right now. And this goes through all sports. Every team goes through 3 levels. The Giants are at level 2. Level 1, remember, okay, for example, the Lions. Remember when they was like a laughing stock all over the place? I mean, they were even 0-6. Yeah, they were 0-16. And that was level 1 for them. Then after a little moving and shaking, they went up to level 2, which was where we are right now. You got the talent on the team. You're still losing. You got the talent. Everybody sees the potential. And when the playoffs come, and mark my words, this is going to happen this year. When the playoffs come, you got it. You know, when they have that little chart that says this team has to beat the Lions to go through they have to beat the Lions to get into the wild card, or this team has to tie that team in order for that team to get into the wild card or whatever. And somewhere the Lions' name is on that list. You have to go through them. If you lose to them, you're not making it in. So they're like the gatekeepers, you know, so they're on their way up. But right now, if you go through that team, you are going to come out bruised and beat up. That's the team you don't want to go through because you know that's a hard out. The Giants are at that level right now. You know, every team goes through this. Like every team goes through it. So we're at that level right now. We may be 2-11, but come time for the playoffs to start, no one's gonna want to come through the Giants. We got the talent there. No one is going to want to come through us. And if they do go through us, they're going to regret it afterwards because they're going to come out really messed up psychologically because they're going to think to themselves, if we can't get past the Giants without this many bruises, then we're in trouble for the rest of the playoffs. We're going to be a hard out. The next level, level 3, which I say we ain't going to get to till 2027 because next year is the year where we bring everybody together, all the injuries and everything. That's when we mesh together to see what we really got. Then in 2027, that's basically level 3 where, like the Lions, you're often talking guaranteed minimum 10-win team every year going forward. That's level. That's how I look at it. And every team goes through that. Every team goes through that. That's where the Giants are right now. I'm not going to say we stink. We got the talent there, man. It's just that effort. Okay, really fast. When I was telling you before I played for Lou Saban, Nick Saban's father, when I was in college, we had some dudes on that team. Like, this was a good coach, man. He was a hard-ass, but he was a good coach. And he could motivate you with just saying things to you. There was guys that was ready to go play like during practice. Let's just go play right now, you know, because he motivated them like that.
Sure.
But it was still those dudes out there that was on the team that was saying, man, this is a small school, man. Ain't nobody coming to these games. I ain't gonna take this seriously. You see, they got the talent there, but they don't want to take it serious. Well, that's a small school. Nobody cares about this. And I would pull them to the side and like, dude, I would love to see what you can do if you can take it serious. Now, I know I might not see the field because these dudes are here before me or whatever like that, but I would love to see what you can do if you can take. Why am I going to get hurt? I'm not going to get hurt for this. I mean, come on, man. This ain't nothing. This is a small school. Nobody even comes to these games. And that's what I'm seeing with the Giants. Like, Abdul Carter, you know, I'm getting a lot of Jadeveon Clowney vibes from him. I'm really, because Jadeveon Clowney is not a bum at all. No. But look how many teams he's been on. He was like the workout warrior. You know, but look how many teams he's been on. And I think, please tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong. I think he's getting that from Kayvon Thibodeau, because Thibodeau came in and everybody was talking about how great he was, but he takes plays off. You know, he makes business decisions. And I'm seeing that same thing with Abdul, but Wink didn't let him get away with that. You know, Wink had him playing up there, you know, but Wink leaves and I'm not seeing it from Kayvon. And now Abdul Carter comes in, and I don't think he's taking notes from Brian Burns. Like, look how much effort he's putting in. Maybe I should do it. I think he's taking that business decision mentality from Kayvon Thibodeau coming in. You know, he's getting paid. I mean, so what? I can do the same thing. I'm just going to get paid. That's just what I'm seeing, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm really hoping I'm wrong. I know it's a lot, and I know my voice is annoying. I'm sorry, everybody.
No. Listen. I have great respect that you actually take the time to listen and then call in, because you make points that are worthy of discussion, especially because you did have football in your background. So I think it's a very valuable thing for you to do. Now, in terms of your comment, I can honestly tell you, I do not know, because I don't make it my point to know who's the best friend of everybody on the team. Yeah. So I don't know who Abdul Carter's best friend is on the team right now. I don't. So I don't know who he's looking up to. I don't know who he's modeling himself after. I don't know even who he asks questions of in terms of teammates. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, there are too many guys in the locker room for me to try to, you know, take stock of that kind of thing. But here's what I can tell you. The people who I know, and one of the guys I know who I'm very fond of, and you know Brandon Short, who used to play for the Giants, and he's a Penn State grad. I respect Brandon to the top of the heavens. Pro's pro, first-class guy in every way. And Brandon knows Abdul Carter extremely well because he's on the board of trustees at Penn State.
All right.
I've talked to Brandon about him. He has given me double thumbs up in every way, shape, and form. So I am shocked. I am shocked that there has been some missteps for this Penn State rookie. I really am, because it doesn't fit the profile of people who I know who know him, and especially Brandon, who has spoken to the high heavens about this player. Now, that does not mean, just because a bunch of people have spoken on his behalf, that doesn't mean that he's perfect. Obviously, he's not. Yeah. And he has stumbled. He has stumbled, and he has shown things as a rookie that he's got to grow out of. Now, will he do it? I certainly hope so. I think he will. But at the same time, I can honestly tell you, I don't know who his mentors are right now. I don't know who he's following. And I can also tell you that over the years, I've run into players who gravitated to, I don't know if the wrong guy is the right word to use, but who gravitated to players in the locker room that they would have been better off looking elsewhere to. How does that make sense to you?
No, yeah, that makes total sense.
Okay. And so I don't know where he's gravitating right now, but I will say this. I do know that Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, two of the guys who have specifically talked out about, you know, the immaturity and the mistakes that have been made. if he's listening at all to any of his teammates, those are two guys who I'm sure he's heard from. And I would like to believe that these are just bumps in the road. I don't know. I don't know how else I can quantify how I feel about him right now, because he's going to have to show us something in his second NFL season, and not just on the field. He's going to have to show us something altogether, that he has matured, he's grown, and he's understood what it is to be a pro. Because right now, there's nothing he's going to do in the next 4 games that's going to change anybody's opinion about his rookie season. His rookie season is going to be labeled a disappointment, no matter what he does in the month of December.
Yeah. I mean, gee, but you know what? I'm just in my own thinking that I'm an assumption. After the Cowboys pretty much skipped up ahead of us and took Micah Parsons, is that is anybody thinking we got a chance to have our own Micah Parsons, and that's why they went after Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter? Because they
were those guys because they were the highest rated players on the board at the time the Giants picked, and they both happen to be pass rushers, which, as you know, in this league come at a premium. But interesting, you know what, Harlem X, you just opened up a whole nother can of worms. Do you know that the word around the NFL on Micah Parsons when he came out is that he had lazy tendencies, that he took plays off? Oh yeah, it was. Why do you think he dropped as far as he did?
Okay, I didn't know that.
Didn't know. That was the word around the league. Parsons had lazy tendencies, took some plays off, had some attitude issues off the field. Okay? His portfolio was not like A+ double check mark. His portfolio was like, all right, there are some things we're not sure about here. I mean, let's face it. If everything about him was a check plus, he would have been taken top 3 in the draft that year. Yeah. But he wasn't, was he?
There's too much of that going on, man. I mean, it's 1 year. I'll give him the pass for this 1 year. It's just that from what I'm seeing, every play I look at him, it's like once somebody gets past him, he slows down a little bit. I can just see that effort. I'm not seeing that hunger. You're a rookie, okay? And getting sacks, I know the pressures, he's leading whatever amount in pressures. From what I'm hearing, not from what I'm hearing, the way I feel about pressures and sacks, pressures are the labor pains. I want to see the baby. I'm sick of the pressures. Nah, okay? Pressures are one thing, man. Pressures are good and all, but I mean, all that is giving. Yeah, you're making a quarterback make up his mind or whatever. But if we got a running quarterback, a pressure ain't gonna do nothing but make him just take off, and we already got problems stopping a run.
All right, my man. Let me run this by you though. It is clear that he got by on pure talent at Penn State. Okay, as most superstars coming out of college do. And you know this. You jump up to the next level. Now you've got to not only, in my opinion, the two things that Abdul Carter needs to do as he accelerates his career, he needs to add a power quotient to his game, because he does not have nearly enough power to become the dominant player that the Giants need him to be. He's a rookie. He's a rookie. He's got the frame to do it. He could be as strong as an ox if he applies himself as he grows into a pro body. Right now, he's got the frame, but his body is not mature enough to have his full power quotient yet. That's got to happen. And it better start happening for him next year. That's number one. Number two, in my opinion, for him to reach his potential, he is going to have to, and you'll understand this as a former player, he's going to have to expand his toolbox, because every pass rusher that I've ever known has not just 1 or 2 moves. They have 3, 4, 5, 6 moves, and they can mix them up, and they can use those counters in a variety of ways, and they can set guys up. Michael Strahan used to tell me all the time, and so did LT, how they would have a plan for the game and then a plan for the quarter, a plan for the series, because they had so much in their repertoire that they would set guys up. They would, in other words, maybe 3 times in a row, they'll take the edge, they'll take the edge, they'll take the edge. Now they know they got that tackle cheating on the edge. So now what are they going to do? On the next big third down play, they're going to fake the move to the edge, and they're going to rip them to the inside. You got to be able to set guys up with an expanded toolbox. Abdul Carter is not there yet.
Yeah, this is only a few games. That's why I'm giving him a pass this time. I'm giving him a pass more than I'm giving Jackson Dart a pass, even though it's the same thing. But Jackson Dart, no one's going to know what he is until his 3rd season. But Jackson Dart, he should not be on the field at all this season, and I'm sticking to that. I'm sticking to that.
You know how I feel about rookie quarterbacks, my friend.
Yeah.
You know how I feel. I would much rather them sit for the first year too. But I would admit that Jackson Dart has exceeded the rookie curve in his first year with the Giants. I have to admit, he has exceeded. They're very fortunate to see him do as well as he has coming right out of the box.
I don't know about, because one thing I am sick to death of in New York sports is Linsanity. How many times are we going to fall for this? Because Jeremy Lin, that wasn't for a few years. That was a few months. He lit the city up because the Knicks needed a spark. He did a good thing, lit the city up.
I don't even know if it was a few months, man. I think that was more like about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Jeremy, he was on all these commercials, all this stuff, and it was just a little while. Then he's still a good player, but we needed that spark. Then comes Tommy DeVito. 3 games, lit the city up. Even had his agent there, everybody doing the thing with their fingers, and Tommy cut. Listen, we needed a spark. He gave us a spark. Linsanity all over again. Then it went away. Now Russell Wilson was in. We needed a spark. Jackson Dart is in now. We got the spark. Linsanity all over it.
You want the fireworks is what you want. You're done with sparks. You want fireworks.
I don't exactly want sparks. I just need he doesn't even have to be great. He doesn't. Just be a steady line. Just be a steady, and I don't expect that in his first year. I really don't. But he's right now, I see how he's thinking and what he's doing. I see what he's doing. I know how he's thinking. And he needs to sit his behind down, let Jameis Winston get in there, because he's going to last maybe 2 to 3 years after this, because he's right now mentally, he's trying to win over too many hearts and minds. I know everybody say, well, he's a winner. That's the winner's mentality. Everybody has a winner's mentality. It's just that you have to settle it down, and pretty much go steady on it. Don't try to win every game on every play. And that's what I see what he's doing, and it's dangerous as hell. This dude he doesn't realize. I don't think he realizes exactly what is riding on his shoulders, because he's trying to just win it right now. Like, just win it right now. We got to win. We're going to win the game on this play. No, man, just let it go. And one more. Oh, my goodness.
Hold on, Max. I got you, man. I feel your vibe. And again, my preference is always rookie quarterbacks should sit for the first year. I've never wavered off of that. It is my preference. You and I see it exactly the same way. But I got to deal with the reality. The reality is he was inserted into the lineup. So now I have to tell you what I see, tell you what I know, and I have to evaluate what is. I can't bring him in or out of the lineup. That is not under my control.
I wish it was. but I mean, Jackson.
Look, I do have another video call coming in, Harlem X. No, listen. I don't ever want to discourage you from calling. and I gave you a lot of time here on this phone call again because you're really a great caller, and I think you add a lot to the program. And I enjoy talking to you. And it's obvious that the fans of this show like when you call in because the numbers always spike when you do.
I thought I annoyed them after that.
No, you don't annoy any of us. We enjoy your phone calls, and I want you to call us back. Okay, please.
You do discourage me sometimes when I call up and I have all types of anger and everything, and you just take all that away and just put logic into the emotion that I'm trying to walk away with. I'm trying to hold on to this animosity, and then here you come, just ruin every damn thing. So yeah, you discourage me sometimes. Man.
Hey, my friend, listen, I hope you had a good turkey last week. And if we don't hear from you before the holiday, have a great one, but I hope that we do.
Yeah, you too, everybody. Yeah, sorry if I annoyed anybody, my voice.
You're not annoying anybody. We love to have you on the show. You stay well, okay?
Right. Okay, I'm going to be more active going forward now that I'm not on that schedule no more, but I know you got somebody else calling, so I'm going to get going. Thanks again.
All right, you be good. Right. Let's go to Russo. Russo is next on the program. Hello, Russo. Thanks for giving us a call tonight.
Hi, Paul.
Hi. It looks like I got the brim of your baseball cap. I think that we got to get you in the frame there. There you go. That's a little bit better.
I don't even know.
No, that's all right. At least we got half of your face. What's going on, my man?
Yeah, I got my Badfellas shirt on. I didn't even
see that.
Anyway, it's good to see you. You're giving us all therapy.
I can use some myself.
I bet you can. I guess the main thing on my mind was, oh Christ, there's a ton of them. But I was thinking what we need right now, given that we have to probably blow all this up. I don't know why I can't get on the screen.
No, I'll take you right there. You don't have to move. That's okay. We'll take you right where you are.
I'm thinking we need Gruden in here. As politically incorrect as he is, now I lost the voice even.
No, I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Yeah, I think
you mentioned John Gruden. I do want to say one thing, though, before anybody else brings his name up, and I know he's been in the chat also. Just remember one thing about John Gruden, and this has nothing to do with the New York Giants. But, John Gruden went through a legal battle, and it's still ongoing
with
the NFL.
That much I know.
Okay, so to be honest with you, I'm not sure that any NFL team at this moment, given the legal battle that he's had with the league, which continues to move forward, although it seems like it's taking forever, I don't know that any NFL team would necessarily be so quick to make that phone call.
I understand your point. I did know that, but I also thought you mentioned Gruden's quarterback class. It's a fabulous hour.
Yes, it is.
I love Dart in the first place. Then I watch that. I can't even believe how sharp this kid is. And I don't know. You know X's and O's better than I do. But when this stuff went up on the blackboard, I'm thinking, anyway, I'm not a CPA, but the way that the 22-year-old Jackson Dart handled all of what was on the board and just like followed Gruden as if he'd been doing this for 20 years.
I know.
Quite impressive. Yeah, so that's in my mind again. And then you watch Malik Neighbors talking about why would Kafka go for it, right? Instead of kick the field goal. It was, I guess, a Detroit game. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, come on, Malik. If you've been watching this defense, we better get on the board and not give him any field position and be up by 2 scores, because if we let our defense try to handle this, we're going to be screwed. No.
Yep. Understood. I think, and quite honestly, I think as all of us who have been subjected to social media over the course of time, and we all have to chase these stories down, and we all have to chase down these reactions. Every coach, every GM, every NFL organization tells their players and coaches, think twice before you hit the button.
Exactly.
Because even if you think that, and you certainly have a right to think whatever you want to think, there's an appropriate way to express it, and social media hitting a button right after a play is probably not the best way to do it.
But then again, I'm forgetting how old I am. These kids it's their world.
Well, I know, and again, I understand that, but you know, the problem that we have, and you know, I'm going to give you a little bit of an old school mentality here. I know you'll appreciate it. Many of our viewers may not. And it's this. Every single item that's posted on social media is not meant to be a story in the next day's newspaper.
Uh-huh.
It's not meant to be a 20-minute discussion on the next day's radio show. Why can't somebody just have a comment to have a comment and let it be, and take the comment for what it's worth, instead of making a huge volcanic eruption out of it and making it a huge talking point and a distraction?
I'm losing your audio.
I mean, you know, in all honesty, but this is the generation, not only the generation that we're living in, but because social media has taken over the world, this is what it becomes. Every single thing that some player, coach, former player puts on social media, it automatically has to become a story for every reporter covering that team. Personally, I think that's ridiculous. That's like making a story out of a used bag of popcorn that was picked up off the floor in a movie theater. Who cares? It's worthless. But that's not the way we are today. That's why I try to stick to the X's and the O's, my friend. I'm not interested in the gossip pages, nor the garbage that floats around that's not involved in the game itself. I stick to the game.
As you should.
Well, I've been doing it for a long time, and I don't plan on changing.
Your first read on me was correct. I am older than you. I think I was reading a Tom Coughlin biography, and then I looked up and said, "Hey, look, Paul, he looks pretty good for 82." and then I realized that I had the wrong guy.
Anyway, what else can we do for you tonight?
Man, I had some stuff, but I don't want to take your whole we were hanging out with Amani Toomer and Jason Sehorn in the coaches club. I was trying to find you down on the field. You ran by. It looked like you were on a jet ski or some kind of skateboard. And
I warn people who try to track me down at the stadium. I am very approachable, but I'm also very focused, intense, and determined and focused on whatever it is that I'm doing at that moment. I don't get distracted very easily.
I could see that. I was trying to get you to notice me, but
apologies. Are you going to be back at all this year?
No, man. I'm a fair weather fan, kind of.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's the reason I go to Coaches Club. I can't really afford it, but I like to have the toilet. I like to have an opportunity to get out of the elements. But when it's this cold, I can't sit out and watch more than a series.
Well, they got 3 out of the last 4 games at home, and who knows? Maybe you'll know somebody who isn't going to use his tickets, and you'll be able to go.
I heard about the global warming, so maybe there'll be a chance that will be moderate.
Oh my! But anyway,
hey,
no, seriously.
I'm glad you got a week and a half off or so, even though I'm going to miss you guys.
It is funny. I usually don't look forward to the bye week. It makes me crazy. In this particular season,
I bet you're going to make your wife crazy, aren't you?
Oh, no doubt. But this particular season, I think everybody in this Giants situation is looking forward to the bye week. Trust me.
Yeah. Like, how did this all happen, right?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Look, we all know that when the season started, there's always going to be a number of different ways that the story will unfold. There's always a possibility that things could go south. But my goodness, no one could have possibly written a script that
could
would
have
have seen
predicted
this season go just
every
like this.
collapse, every fourth quarter? No one could have predicted this. This
No.
is worse than Spielberg or Stephen King, the worst horror film you ever saw. How could you?
It truly is remarkable. I've said now that this team has found ways to do the impossible. They're like magicians. They really are. Oh, I think we lost them.
Anyway.
All right, Russo, we lost your video. I think we still have you on the audio, but I want to wish you well. I'm glad you called in. Please call again. And if we don't hear from you, have a wonderful holiday.
Hey, same here. God bless
All
your
right.
wife. I hope she can handle you.
I'll let her know.
Take care. Enjoy.
You be good. All right, that'll do it for tonight's edition of the Big Blue Breakdown. We just took this to an hour and a half because you folks demanded it. And that's the beauty of this program. We've got a lot of loyal people out there. Even on a bye week with a 2-11 team, we still wound up with a very healthy audience. Many of you are loyal followers, and I thank you for taking your time to participate, whether or not you did a chat, a video call, or a phone call. You took the time to join us for tonight's program, and I do very much appreciate that. Now, we're going to be back with another edition of the Big Blue Breakdown live next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, same bat time, same bat channel. We will be previewing the Giants game against the Washington Commanders. They're going to be home on Sunday the 14th. That is a 1 o'clock kickoff. I know we did not get a chance to talk too much about the Giants. In fact, nothing about the Giants depth chart tonight. Maybe that'll be a good opportunity for some of you who want to talk about players you're going to be watching during the final month of the season, backups who maybe you want to see get some playing time. I'll be very glad to take those calls as well. We have a lot of Dante Miller fans out there, and I'm one of them. I'm a big-time Dante Miller guy. I'm hoping he gets in too. We'll see how many other players maybe draw your interest over the final weeks of the season. Once again, remember the Big Blue Breakdown and the live program are all part of the New York Giants on SI YouTube channel and media network. Until next time, everybody, I'm Paul Dottino. Be well, and we'll see you on down the road.